Hello everyone, this is Venus Brown. Today I will be reacting to The Crown Season 4, Episode 4, called Favorites.
Go faster than Parliament or the people will allow me. I'm so sorry. So unprofessional.
No, not at all.
The very idea that the first time a Prime Minister should break down in this room and it be a woman.
It is by no means the first time a Prime Minister has broken down in here.
You are a
Over the
human
years, this room,
of
hot
human
drawing room,
emotions.
we even have paper hankies or brandy.
Or brandy, yes. I agree. I don't drink a lot usually anymore. I used to when I was younger, but...
It's my son, Mark. And my favorite, Mark, has gone missing.
Missing?
Not lost. I know exactly what I'm doing.
5 days since Mark Thatcher was last sighted with his teammates.
Described him as her favourite child. Who would do that? Openly admit preferring one child to another.
I mean, you can see that your husband does that.
I don't know.
Liar.
It's true. I really don't know.
Your lack of self-knowledge sometimes.
We're not
On
always
balance, I'd
good
say
at
that was an
self-observance.
Well, who?
He's
can't
not
just
gonna
leave.
tell her.
Watch me.
Watch me. Oh gosh. And here is the intro for The Crown Season 4. If you like this content, you can go ahead and click that thumbs up button. If you like, you can click the bell to subscribe. And if you click all, you'll get notifications whenever new content is loaded. You can share or even save it to watch later if you like. And there it is. The Crown. Ta-da!
British overseas territory and you have landed illegally. Your colleagues must leave immediately.
Son los ilegales. O nuestra bandera en nuestro propio territorio.
Is this going to be similar to the one with the canal? Where they were like, look, this was our property, you took over. In their case, they feel it was unjust and illegal, and so they felt justified in taking over the canal. I guess I should continue on and see what happens.
I'd like you to arrange for me to see my 4 children. Private. One at a time.
Of course.
So that each is unaware that the others have been summoned.
Yes, ma'am.
Each child's hobbies, interests.
Of course, ma'am.
Which she feels sometimes like she is cold and remote, so she's at least aware of that and knows that she doesn't want to look too much that way. Be gone.
I'll take it to the Foreign Secretary.
God, it feels horrible to have one of your kids missing that long. There were so many times where just like kid missed their stop on the bus or something like that, and I couldn't get hold of the school because it was after school hours, and then I end up having to like drive all the way to the school to find out that they missed their stop. The bus driver ended up taking them back to the school, and they were in the office playing with one of the secretaries or principal's kids or something like that. Just that knowledge that they didn't come home and you don't know where they are and you can't get a hold of them. And then later on, when they became teenagers, for the most part, when they were in high school, I was coming to pick them up. And my phone wasn't working or they weren't picking up for whatever reason. We couldn't communicate and couldn't get in touch with each other. So I didn't know if they were still at school or if they were in another class or if they had gone somewhere else or what the heck was happening. And then there were a couple times where I was late picking them up, and I just remember like the heart palpitations, the worry and the concern that, you know, what if something happened to them? What if they didn't come home? Very frustrating. So I could imagine that several days like that, without knowing where your kid is, even though they're full-grown adults, would feel so horrible. And this is my background this week.
Poached salmon. It's not always poached salmon in this place.
I was caught for smoking once.
Almost, yes. But I was clever enough to get away with it.
That a little unfair.
Yeah,
It's life, Mummy.
it is life,
has dealt you
but it's
rather
still
good
unfair.
hand.
The idea that, oh, the person
Not
that
without its
doesn't get
challenges,
caught
either.
is somehow better than the person who
I
does.
mean, I might plastic spoons with saliva and flick it at the back of my head. They put super glue on my chair. Gave me a bottle of white wine as a gift, which... You're in. Trouble of chilling it. I can't help admiring their ingenuity.
I don't admire it.
that. Cricket's going well.
Sure, takes
Made
a
the first
special
11
kind of person
again.
to be an asshole like that, but
How about
I don't
academic
admire
work,
that
A-levels next term?
assholiness.
How's that coming along?
It's good for them, too. A member of the royal family at Jesus College.
Attractive attitude.
It's true, though, isn't it? What to do about that? Say no?
Yeah, that kind of attitude
There
would
has to be
definitely
some
bug me.
upside to being who we are.
But then it would also make me feel bad that they even feel that way. That their situation would put them in a place where they would even feel that way. But that would definitely bug me, some of the stuff he's saying about just like using your family status to get ahead and stuff like that. Always kind of irritates me. But then it also puts those people that are in those positions in a place where they have to like disconnect themselves from who they are, from who their family members are, in order to even be taken seriously. Because you know that behind their backs, people are going to be talking. That they only got this position for the family members. That, you know, both sides are kind of crummy.
As an unnecessary conflict with Argentina, while the situation is resolved diplomatically.
You mean to do nothing? If we do nothing, our people, far from home, their lives are in danger, Charles.
I always feel with stuff like this, like the first thing they should do is try to find out why they feel the way they do. They obviously are insisting on staying there. They're insisting that they belong there. To me, that should be the first thing. Why do they feel that way? Why do they feel like they belong there? Why do they feel that they should insist on staying there and that they think they have that right? At least find that out. Then you can try to take steps. If you don't even know why they're doing that, then what are you going to do about it? You can force them to move, but then that's going to make them feel like you're unjustly moving them. You can leave them alone, but then you're never going to actually know why they felt that way in the first place, and it may happen again. So at least take those first steps. Find out what it is that they want, why it is that they feel the way they do. Especially with a lot of this foreign policy stuff, with the amount of countries that Great Britain has like taken over, done as they will with, without consideration of the countries who had ownership of that property in the first place. Like, you have all these ill feelings. You're not even going to try to find out why they feel this way. Maybe there's something that you as Great Britain can do to get them to budge or whatever. You got to start from the root. What was the root cause of them thinking this way? Thinking that this was okay. Freaking get to the root of it first before you try to do anything else. If you don't know what the root is, how are you really going to do anything substantial about it that will actually work? And no, diplomacy doesn't always work. It's a starting place. So freaking start at the root and then proceed from there. I'm still also not sure why they're not talking to the Queen, because it seems like she sometimes deals with that kind of stuff. Like, they should be talking to both, the Prime Minister and the Queen. I hope they find her son alive, not like in prison or something. That would be really fucked up if he was taken prisoner and the country that took him prisoner never frickin' even told anybody. I'll talk a little more about the favorites thing in a while.
Against whom I am now always compared. Lovely her dumping me questions about my marriage all the time.
How is Mark?
That's it, exactly like that. How is Mark? Mark's fine. I'm fine. The children are fine.
About a Sergeant Cross. Intimate. Has recommended his transfer.
Do that to me. You can't. Here's the one thing that makes me happy. They're scaring people a bit because I could control it. Want to smash it all up. All past two. It's doing nothing, your solution to everything.
Mark Thatcher and his French co-driver Charlotte Vernet were sighted this morning by an Algerian Air Force C-130 search plane. To Dennis Thatcher, Mark's father. Tell her the good news.
I am delighted. Who else? I am a mother.
Reunited with her favorite child.
Worry for my life. The others were getting a bit existential.
Of course they were, darling. They're French.
Quite.
She was being overdramatic.
Of course she was. She's a woman.
Quite.
You pass the wine, darling.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what his sister thinks.
Secretary and the Chief of the Defense Staff and the Defense Secretary. I want them in my office by this time tomorrow.
By helicopter is enough of an entrance.
I said leave it with me.
I'm liking this episode. Nice to get a little closer peek at the individual children.
How did you get
Summoned on a matter of national importance by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces.
It's a mother and son lunch. Hardly a matter of national importance.
As we follow her induction into sensual pleasures.
Yes, you're right. It doesn't sound blue at all. Are you sure it was even legal?
Who cared?
Who cares?
It might come...
This salmon is delicious.
Isn't it?
The other one was like all upset about the poached salmon.
I wanted to discuss with you.
I love salmon, although I don't eat it poached.
Together to defend the islands within 48 hours.
That's absurd.
Still, none of you have discussed why they had even done that in the first place.
I say we retake the...
Is that something that they could simply open their history books up and figure out that, okay, this happened at this place and this happened at this place at this time and whatever, and maybe that's why they're acting this way? Or is it something where they actually need to freaking open their damn mouths up and talk to these people?
Survive an unnecessary and unaffordable war.
Our conservatives here in the U.S. seem to think that any war is a good war and that will help them politically. It seems like every time. Democrats, we tend to feel like wars are costly, waste when it comes to time, when it comes to life, when it comes to money. That's just that kind of gridlock between the two parties. We could use this time, this money on other things and leave our people alive. And I know that is partially the neoconservatives. They're the ones that are very pro-war, but still, it doesn't seem like most of the other types of conservatives are anti-war at all.
Then give me one of those minutes. You overlook me? And you favour Mark.
Because he's stronger. Struggled with my mother, but it had nothing to do with her sex. It had to do with her weakness.
Husband treated her as such.
That is not true. Encouraged me, he taught me, he made me who I am.
And are you sure he did that with her?
My ambition be limitless. Tried with your grandmother. Limit to what one can do if people are themselves limited.
Damn!
Yeah, yelling at her is totally helpful.
Pathetic.
Honestly, you're pathetic. That's how you deal with your depressed wife.
I'm afraid she's not having an easy time of it.
Oh, poor thing. I was lucky. Pregnancy didn't seem to affect me.
Yes, but you're two very different women. Should we start outside?
Yes.
Reflect who I really am, what I'm all about.
So the big idea is you.
Ain't that the
Everything
truth?
we've done all she'd love it here. Distracted for a few weeks. And she started withdrawing again. 6 hours of television.
It's called depression, and you not getting to know your wife before you married her in the first
I tried to
place.
give books endlessly about missing London.
Perhaps that's what she likes. Perhaps
Exactly.
this part of the world doesn't suit her.
Stone throw away.
Not just Anne. Only a 15-minute drive, I heard.
Telephone.
How often?
As often as is necessary.
All the fucking
How often
time.
when I need...
You need cheering up.
Yet your wife is depressed
You've
in
just
her
bought your
room,
dream house. You're
and
Xanadu.
you've done
That
nothing
you
to
and an army of
freaking...
sycophant, beautiful wife, struggling with pregnancy, has locked herself in a room upstairs and is refusing to come out.
Yep.
You know how I hate interfering. It's not for me to tell a grown man what to do. But in your position, I might be inclined to worry less about my own happiness and pay a little more attention to the well-being of the mother of my future child.
Yep. Seriously, dude. What the hell? You want to act like you're so philosophically intelligent and everything, yet you can't even freaking connect to your own wife and figure out she needs some freaking therapy because you're not doing it for her. And maybe you should freaking get to know her, because you're not doing that either. You're all about what you want and what you like, what you're interested in. What about her? I've learned one thing in this venture. It's important to be involved in my kids' lives, and for them to be involved in their family members' lives. Support, connection, love, it's all important. And lacking in those departments, things don't tend to go so well. Drink. What's the matter? Drink.
More of a cry for help, I think.
Reached a conclusion.
They've reached a
Have you found
conclusion
out?
that they're lost. They all need guidance. Connect.
Touch him.
It is your job to
Stick around, stay alive, and keep breathing.
precisely.
What, to give them time to sort themselves out? The favorites thing, I don't know. I look at my children as two very different people. And both of them have some things that I really enjoy about them, and both of them have some things that I don't enjoy about them. Oldest, we can go and do things together, go to events together, dress up together, things like that, where we have this kind of camaraderie and get along very well and are on the same lines and same kind of interests in some ways, which is really nice. But my oldest can also be kind of insensitive and disconnected and maybe doesn't care about certain things, including the feelings of others, at least it seems like. So we have these things that we get along pretty well and that I enjoy and like about them. And then we have these other things where there's this kind of disconnect, like there was with the Queen and her kids, with her kids and their spouses, things like that, this disconnect. With my youngest, they can be like the sweetest person, which I really love about them. But at the same time, that sweetness, that sensitivity that I like so much is also one of the things that I have the hardest time with. They are so sensitive. They break down, get emotional, and start crying very easily. And that's something where there's this disconnect with me, where I have a hard time with them so easily crying. And it's not like I don't get emotional. It's just that I'm less likely to cry and get sad and upset over little things. And they get very upset over things that to me are very little. The other thing about my youngest is that I would like to go out and do more things with them. They don't like to go out and do much of anything. And it's not just me. They don't like doing that kind of stuff for the most part. Been to one convention with a friend. They've been to one theme park with a friend. They've been to a paintball park with a friend. But it's like one time and that's enough. They won't want to do it anymore ever again. They have at least found a group of friends that they're willing to hang out together. And I understand the dealing with crowds thing. Crowds are a problem to me too. I get very grumpy and upset around crowds, but they don't like to do any of it. No, nothing where they have to go away, where they're in stores, where they're at events, where they're walking around, where they're dealing with anything or anyone. They just don't like that. So do I have a favorite? I'm not sure. I just know that there's some things I like about my oldest kid and some things I don't like about my oldest kid. There's some things I like about my youngest kid and some things I don't like about my youngest kid. I know who my favorite parent was. I was a daddy's girl, and I definitely had some severe challenges growing up with my mother. I think I know who my mother's favorite is. I'm not sure I know who my dad's favorite is. Just know that my dad was my favorite. So who the least favorite is, I wouldn't be exactly sure. It's funny, who my least favorite sibling was growing up is almost opposite now. Now they're my favorite sibling, but they were my least favorite growing up. It's terrible. It's terrible, but it's true. I know, I acknowledge that there are things that I like and dislike about different people for different varieties of reasons. And I do think that people tend to have favorites, sometimes more than others. I definitely think that there are certain relationships where one or both parents have a much more favorable opinion of one child than everybody else. And and may have a more disfavorable opinion about one child than everybody else. But I think there are times where it's harder to tell. And like with the Queen, I wouldn't have assumed who her favorite was. But I do notice who she has some challenges and gets upset over. But you could definitely tell that Prince Philip has a favorite and a least favorite. He is very apparent with his feelings about that. But there are also a lot of things about Prince Philip and the way that he acts that I do not like. So, anyway, at this point though, we have a few more days before we leave. And one of them I'm going to be gone the whole day. Plus yesterday I was gone at the beach most of the day. So I didn't get a lot done yesterday. I need to get a couple more episodes done, and I do not know if I'm going to get them both done, but I'm going to try. I want to because I have heard that season 6 is going to start in the fall. Really like to have all of the season 4 and 5 episodes done before that starts. And I don't know if I will, but if I get more behind, I don't see it happening. That's all I got for you now. I will see you next week if that episode is ready to go.
Till next time. See you when I see you. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you want more content, click subscribe. If you click that little bell and click all, then you'll get more content notifications.